I
You're
think
you're
you
muted,
and
Amy.
me.
Amy, you're muted.
Yeah, I was getting ready to text you until you were muted. That's okay. That's okay. Did anybody hear any of that, or should I start over?
You got to start over.
Yeah, you
Okay,
gotta start
I can
over.
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
That's okay. As we have more come in, maybe Megan
Right.
just mute them individually now. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank
Good
you for
morning.
joining. Thank you for joining us for the Professional Development Facilitator meeting for May. We have a lot of information to share this morning, so we're going to jump right in and get started. To begin with, I am recording this event so that those who cannot attend can watch later. And also, if you have questions about the presentation afterward, you can go back and watch the presentation and get the information or the email address if you need it. Megan is going to be watching in the background, so anyone that has their camera off and would like to ask a question, you're welcome to turn your camera back on to notify her you have a question. You can also put those questions in the chat for her, and then she will let us know as we wrap up each presentation so that you can be on screen if you'd like to while you're having your question asked. One other point is if you were not included in the May link for this event, you can email me afterward and I'd be happy to add you for the next time to get you on the list. I have some announcements and congratulations to go out to programs. The National Book Fund grant recipient that I know of is Horizon Education Alliance. They received $4,100 to purchase adult education resources from New Readers Press. I've only been notified from Horizon of receiving the grant. So if anyone else received funds from the National Book Fund grant, I would love to hear from you so that I can add you to the next announcements. So congratulations to Horizon. Next, we have several programs that received Dollar General Literacy Grant funds. Wagler Education and Training received $4,300 to purchase an interactive smart board. Thank you, Michelle Ellis, for sharing the photo of you and your students. I love seeing that. Learn More received a total of $10,000, which they will break down to $8,000 for teacher salaries, $1,000 for instructional materials, $500 for printing, which will be for outreach and follow-up, and $500 for professional development. NEO also received $10,000 in funds, which they plan to use to offset the cost of purchasing Connectable. And Brown County Career Resource Center received $7,000, which they will use to provide literary services for the Brown County Jail. Vigo County received $10,000 to purchase new laptops. The Literacy Alliance received $10,000 to help pay teacher salaries. Indy Reads received $8,000 to help pay for teacher salaries, taxes, and benefits. And we had 3 programs, Benton Fountain Warren, Owen County Public Library, and Peru, which is Miami County Adult Education, all received Dollar General funds, which they will use to build their ELL program. So congratulations to all of the recipients. If anyone else has been notified that they are receiving funds from either the National Book Fund or from Dollar General and would like to be included in the next meeting announcements, please let me know and I'll be happy to share that. Next, I would like to allow time for some of the state PD team to provide any updates that they might have. Megan, can I start with you?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. As far as updates, the state is thinking about changing the waiver form just a little bit. How we're going to change it is that we are going to add a requirement for attendance. If this is only for students who are in class, so if they did not pass one or more sections, we are asking for feedback of how many hours you think they should have um, for remediation. If you would like to join in on the conversation, just send me an email with your thoughts. If not, it's okay. I've already heard feedback from some people, but anyway, it was just an idea. If you would like to have your voice heard, feel free to send me an email. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Megan. Donna, do you have anything to share today? I'm not even sure I saw Donna on the list. She may not be able to make it today.
And Donna was on the list.
She was on, yeah. She
Hello?
put a comment. She's on.
Yeah.
Oh, she's on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just don't have my camera on because I've done something to my screen.
That's
No, I
okay.
don't have anything to share, but it is nice to see everybody and thank you for all the good work you're doing out there. And I'm just going to be a little fly on the wall and listen.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Roy, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Good morning, everyone. Not too much. I am reviewing the guidance that has been put out by the NRS as far as the new measurable skill gains. However, when I went to the website, it was all of Indiana's information. So um, they were using a lot of the stuff that we created for everyone else. So I will be taking a look at that, and I will be covering that in June's state webinar. So hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Laura, do you have anything this morning you'd like to share?
Amy, not this morning, but it's nice to see everyone, and I'm looking forward to the presentation. So just be listening in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions? Megan, has anything popped up for the state PD team that we need to address?
No, other than Donna did say everyone in the witness protection program needs to turn off their cameras.
She did say that.
Good point, Donna. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, next up, we have Jose Torres and Pam Warner here with us this morning to provide Indiana Career Explorer updates, more specifically the career coaching. So Jose, I will let you share your screen.
Yes, yes. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for allowing me to give just go over some stuff with you on our career coaching site and some of the new features and things that we do have. So thank you very much. Pam will not be here today, so you got me. And I think I just okay, I thought I clicked out of you guys. All right. So some things I want to show you about our new career coaching site that we do have. It's a couple of things I want to just talk about before I get into it. It's now searchable on Google Analytics. So if you put in DWD career coaching, Indiana career coaching, anything of that nature, you will see our site pops up now, which is really cool. And Google, they do a really cool thing with that. They reward more people that search. The more that search, that you get to move up on the search list. So that's now we're out and we're getting a lot of feedback and garnering a lot of momentum with our career coaching site. So let me just show you it and pull it up and show you some of our features.
Jose, are you sharing your screen at the moment?
No, I'm getting ready to. I have
Okay.
two screens. So
Okay, I just want to make sure because I was going to say we're not seeing anything. So.
no. Yeah, I'm an expert at this part. I have two screens, so if my head's turned, I'm not. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I'm just looking at another screen, so it's not that I'm not paying attention. And I always want to make sure everybody knew that. All right. Okay, so everyone can see the screen, correct? Awesome. So this is our career coaching site. We did go over a design overhaul with our site. Again, DWD as well. When we had, and we wanted to have it a little bit more dynamic. I just got to do this because I'm going to refresh because right here, if you see what this is doing, this took us like 5 hours to do to get this part in there. So I'm very proud of our logo, very proud of our mission. And again, we want to help our career coaches, any career exploration teachers, so they can help their clients hone their skills, create a sharpen their competitive edge, and create a professional brand. Our focus is on understanding the hiring landscape, developing a professional value proposition based on strengths and interests, and communicating value via resume, cover letter, interviewing. Yeah, I kind of messed it up a little bit. And I wrote this, so I'm mad about that. So as again, we wanted to show what we do have. We have our states broken down with our 12 regions. We have our resources, our tools, our professional development, our labor market info, and our organizational information. Just going to go through these real quick. So we do have this is our career coaching resources page. We have our career resources, our coaching resources, cultural resources, and social service resources on there. Um, Again, this is being updated because we have more job search resources, and these are flyers that we created. We own these, and so this is something that we really like on our interviewing techniques and our resume. We do have a job search as well that is being added now. When you click on coaching resources, you will scroll right down to here and you'll see these four tabs. But here are some our new coaching resources that we do have for our career coaches. This site is specifically designed for career coaches, not the student. Um, our career exploration teachers, anybody the work one, anybody who can come to this site and looking for career exploration information when they're talking with their students, either or their clients. Um, Again, you'll see our coaching resources here, job search resources, resume writing, job application resources, interviewing resources. And these are not just articles, these are videos, these are tips. And again, the goal is to make sure we have our career coaches, our career exploration teachers inundated with enough tools and resources so that they can then create some of their own best practices off of that. But we wanted to make sure, and I wanted to make sure personally, that all of and specifically in adult education, have ample resources to help our clients. And when we're talking about career exploration and you're having good rapport with your students, they do tell you the barriers that we do have and ways to that they can't. So we want to make sure that we have enough information for our career coaches to help them alleviate any barriers for our students, for our clients. And so um, again here our interview now, one thing I will say about our resources is I update them every 3 months. So in 3 months, and this is ready to be updated, you won't see the same information here. We want to make sure it's relevant and concurrent data that we have and that I am providing for our career coaches. But let's say if you like the interview guide through Indiana University, on every page I have a find archive content. So while I will have the page updated, while it will be updated frequently, you could always refer back to a particular article, a particular video that you may want to use for your students. We have our cultural resources here. I know everyone, I don't know if everyone knew, but we had 6,000 Afghani refugees that went to Indianapolis, and we created this cultural resource packet. We've also added a Burmese cultural resource packet. Latino and Hispanic will be up there. And actually, Matt Hetzel, who's the webmaster for the whole state, is literally working on the updates we hit from yesterday right now. So there will be more as we come up. We do have our Indiana adult education. We link out to and our Hoosier by the numbers. I'm gonna skip over them because I'll talk about them a little bit later. But want to make sure our social service resources, again, Social Service Administration here, Medicaid, Social Security Office, and some SNAP benefits of, again, understanding what our students, and when you talk to them, they tell you what issues that they are having. So we want to make sure that we can, while we're not guaranteeing anything, we're just being able to help our students get to some services that they may need. And that's just all from the career resources page. Our tools page, again, we have our Indiana Career Explorer, which we do love. Our Hoosier Talent Network is something that we partner with them as well, HTM, the Rework America Alliance. And so this is the Skillful Indiana. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Skillful, Tracy Everett and her team. We partnered with them again to have this is for our career coaches now. This is our resume builder, our job insights monitor, and the job progression tool. Three great tools that we can use again with the career exploration piece when when talking career exploration or just doing some research. Additional resources, again, we have our LinkedIn, Glassdoor, the Win Career Readiness. This is big, again, if one of your students or clients is looking for training in the work ones or a particular job is hiring, but you have to have a specific work keys number. Well, this readiness assessment, and we all know that aligns perfectly with the work keys, and you'll know where you're at once you take a Win assessments, if you're ready to take a work keys or not. Career One Stop, Indiana Career Ready. Just again, additional resources that we want to make sure that we have for our career coaches. So we do have professional development. We partner with the National Career Network Pathway Series. And so what we do is provide these webinars. And what happens is 9 times out of 10, you probably won't be able to make it at that date and time because you're doing what you're doing. What we do is we provide the slides, we provide the recorded webinar for each one we do, and the date and times, and we leave that up for you. So we do have our PD for our coaches, and we want to make sure that and our career exploration teachers, anybody who's talking about career exploration in their class. It may not be every day, but if you have that time where you're doing that, this is a great site and a great resource for you. But we do have PD as well for our career coaches in our videos. This one here, the Connect 2021 virtual conference. Maryland spoke at this one, so this is a pretty cool conference. We wanted to make sure we had that one up. But these three will be changed probably within a week because it's time to add new webinar series for our career coaches, and we want to keep that going. For trainings as well, we have a self-paced virtual training. Again, this is 16 modules. It's a human-centered approach to career coaching, which is not as traditional as the typical career coaching we went through. And so very good training for our career coaches. Again, it's about 35 to 40 minutes each module. I like to say 50 minutes just because there's some good information there and you're going to write some notes down. One of our big things, and it's kind of what you guys are doing right now, and one of our models in the career exploration team, steel sharpens steel, and we really believe that, and it's kind of what you guys are doing right now. We have a community of practice, and this is what we kind of you guys are doing with the PDF team, is your community of practice. But we're here to discuss barriers, how we alleviate barriers, what is everyone doing, what are our successes, and so any new and innovative things that you're doing, that we share with the field, and that's our thing. Our model is steel sharpens steel. So anything that we find new, we want to make sure our peers know about it. We want to make sure that they it may not work in your area, but it might work in someone else. But if somebody finds anything new and innovative, we talk about that and within our community of practice. And so we really like that piece there, and it gets us talking, and that's the goal, to make sure we're talking. We have resources for everyone, and we're all our career coaches and career exploration teachers and advisors are a part of that. And you can be a part of this anytime you want. You just sign up, and we have our through Microsoft Teams, we have our community of practice. So that's something we really do like, and it slowed down because of everybody was having webinar fatigue, every 10 meetings a day. So we did kind of slow down just to let that pass, but we'll be getting back up with our community of practice because what we found is that we had a lot of people looking forward to that, and to discuss successes and to discuss some failures. We had this event and it didn't work out so well, and here are the reason why. And so we can glean through that when anybody else does that, things to look for and stuff. So really love the career coaching community of practice. I
Okay,
was Yes, yes.
there is a question in the chat if you wanna go ahead and address it, or if you wanna wait.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I just click on the chat now.
Okay. Can we share the resources to have with the community groups adult ed participate? Like workforce development board to help with acting groups resettling in other communities.
Absolutely. Yes, you can. And this is, again, this site is specifically for you, for our career coaches, our career expression teachers. And yes, you can share that. We did have when we did create that, a lot of the workforce development board, they may have that because a lot of them used that before they went down, but you're more than welcome to use that. Again, you'll see next week by Monday, there's Burmese will be up there as well, and well as Hispanic Latino will be on there for the culture resources pages. But you can share that with anybody that you want, and we encourage that because again, want to have that good information out there. So not a problem at all. Um, I was in Indianapolis. It was 2 weeks ago, and we met with the development ops team and went over this. So it did get some big momentum, and so absolutely would love to share that. Here's our labor market info. One thing I'm huge in. I was a career coach in the work one, actually in the adult ed site, but when talking career exploration with our students, you can go to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and that's fine. But I'm huge on Indiana localized employment data, and going to our labor market information and Hoosier by the numbers we link out to is a great place for that. It leads to good conversation about career exploration, about understanding the economic landscape of your area, you may have to talk about moving between county lines. And so we do is, again, we give an economic dashboard of your region. It links out to any region that you need. More importantly, what I do like is the economic outlook of all 92 counties. So click on your county, and here. Um, you get the education, the population, the labor force, the income. So understanding the economic localized data in your area and having that conversation about career exploration is great, especially with particular and individual jobs. It's great to understand, where to apply for, where you're looking for, and how is that the outlook of that particular field in the area. And so that leads to good or tough conversations of you may have to move it, you know. You might be in Delaware County, but it might not work. You might have to come to Lake County because we're closer to Chicago, or Marion County in Indianapolis. But understanding that data and understanding where it's going, and looking at the outlook, that's huge with the career exploration process. Specifically talking with Hoosiers and our localized Indiana data. So I'm huge on Hoosier by the numbers. That site, I'm very big on that. If you haven't looked at that, definitely look at it. It's pretty interesting to find out the economic outlook of your own county. And it's very good to understand that. And when we're talking about that, you want to have that in the back of your head a little bit. So we do give we give you the economic outlook, but also you get a workforce economy dashboard of the same information as well. So again, want to make sure that everyone is getting ample information just so we can help our clients who are, again, the main goal back to steel sharpen steel, and we want to help our Hoosiers and get as much information as possible to them through our coaches, through our career exploration teachers. Again, if you're having a day where they talk about the class, it's a great site for you to go to get some resources. Organizations here. So again, when you're in the field, you want, again, back to the steel sharpen steel, but we have organizations if you'd like to be a part of. We have national organizations, Indiana state organizations, the Deal Career Exploration in Indiana, CDPI, that's Career Development Professionals of Indiana, Dress for Success Indianapolis, Indiana ACTE. And so we want to make sure we add organizations for the career coach to be a part of it if they want to. Federal organization as well. This right here, unions tab. So this is a little, this is a teaser right here. Um, because it's not all the way up. What I developed on here, and it kind of goes back. I'm a son of an electrician. My father was skilled trades. It's a phenomenal job, and you can make a lot of. They do make a lot of money. Let me say that. But the key thing in the skilled trades and with the unions, and it's just trying to find the info. Where is it at? The dates. There's very specific dates, and I'll give you an example. In Indiana, if you want to be a plumber, you can't. You can't right now. They only offer it 10 days in the month of January, and from there you can join the apprenticeship. And so what I wanted to have was, and this is just a snippet here. I have it broken down by region. It will be up here by region, and I have the plumbers union, steam fitters, pipe fitters, welders, laborers union, and IBEW, and iron workers. And so you'll see that in our unions tab. But what more importantly, you'll see the link here. You'll see the application dates and the application information, so they can get to that and the contact info. My philosophy here is I want to make sure that if they wanted to get into the skilled trades, the key is knowing the information and knowing where to go to get it. Sometimes that's hard to find, so I want to make sure we have that all centralized so we can help our students or clients if they want to get in that particular field or that particular local trade or skilled trades. Again, you'll see the application info, phone number, hours, and the link to the actual spot. Um, but it will be developed and it will be all by region. So you'll be able to click region 6, elect the IBEWs in region 6, or region 12, plumbers in region 12. And so having that information again is it's really good to have that and to understand or know when to apply for it or know the requirements of that. And that's huge when getting into the unions because for whatever reason, it's just that information is kind of kept tight to the stomach, and a lot of people don't know that. And so you'll see this like that. But I want to make sure that this is something that we're also doing because again, you can make a great living off of skilled trades, and it's a great job to have. Lastly, contact info. I'll put this is our email. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Again, if you have any questions, or what I also tell our people, if they see anything while you're doing your own research and you see a great tool, write us, let us know. I'd love to, I'll put that up on our site. Again, it's about, the goal is helping Hoosiers. And so want to help them as much as possible. But primarily I want to give our career coaches, our career exploration teachers, or if it's a regular teacher who want to talk about career exploration that day, I want to make sure you don't have to go all these places to do research. We got that for you. The state will take care of that. We have a centralized site that's comprehensive, that gives you resources, tools, PD. And what I can say, and I'll put also a link, Jerry, I already gave this to you. Dealing with the state, we want to make sure that and for me, I want to brag on why we're better. And so I did an analysis of the surrounding states, including California, New York, California, New York, Florida, and all the surrounding Midwest states. And I can say this unequivocally: nobody has this. No one has what we're doing. No, not even close to what we got going here. And I'm proud of that. But I'm also more proud to say Indiana is doing that, and we're kicking everybody's butt around us. And I love saying that. But no one has done this. They're not. They're not. And this is, we're on the precipice, I guess, of the career exploration. You're going to see a lot of that with organizations, but we're like normal Indiana. We're ahead of the curve here, and I'm really proud of that. So thank you very much. Come to this site as much as possible for any resources. And if you had any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. If you have any questions, email me. If not, thank you very much for giving me time to talk to everybody today.
There's no questions in the chat, but in the chat, Jose did type in the career info link online, just so
Okay.
everybody knows.
I would do that. Okay. And am I done sharing? Yes. Okay, good. I want to make sure.
Okay, so Megan, is my screen back up again?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Jose, so much for sharing with us this morning. A lot of great information, a wonderful resource, and we will be sure to get that information to our career coaches so that they can start using that information and accessing that website. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to put that in the link, and you'll see the link to the site, and I will get off the camera.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Next, we have from Central 9 Career Center, we have in Greenwood, we have Carol Bible, Roxanne Bauer, and Julie Ramirez with us this morning to cover best practices for online instruction. Carol is the lead instructor and PDF for Central 9. She began her career in adult education in 2014 and has taught everything from ELL to HSE Fast Track. Carol received her master's in education in 2020 from Purdue University and has been teaching HSE online exclusively since the onset of COVID. Carol took the lead in developing the online instructional strategies for Central 9 within the first few weeks of the pandemic, and meets regularly with the teaching staff to ensure all teachers are prepared to use new technologies associated with online instruction. Roxanne Bauer has spent her career as an adult educator and has taught at Central 9 for 10 years. Roxanne teaches all levels of ELL, both in person and online as well, since the onset of COVID. Roxanne has also spent hours helping students transition from in-person to online classes, working to ensure effective learning strategies are applied in both arenas. And we have Julie Ramirez, who has worked at Central 9 for 13 years. She taught all levels of ELL for her first 6 years, and for the last 7 years, she has taught the transitions class. While working on her master's from Purdue University, which she received in 2021, Julie wrote the curriculum and now teaches 3 IELCE courses. As a PDF, Julie has successfully helped transition staff to online in order to effectively continue teaching classes with the onset of COVID. Currently, Julie is a hybrid instructor, which she has found to be a very effective teaching style. So welcome, Carol, Roxanne, and Julie. I'm going to have you share your screen so you can give us some really great information.
Okay, let's hope this works. Are you seeing my notes?
Yes, if you
Did I
just
do that right?
yeah,
Darn it. Okay.
if you do your present, I think, then we'll be great.
Yep, now I need to figure out how I did that again. Okay. Now are we good?
Yes.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. At Central 9, we continue to have a significant number of students who need or want to attend class online. So with the COVID restrictions mostly behind us, students still find online class to be a convenient and desirable option. However, many students quickly find that it's not as easy as they thought. This is not the best option for every student. So we do our best to ensure that students who enroll in our online classes are equipped to be successful in that format. We view online class as a privilege, and we hold online students to high standards. These are the principles that we apply to all instruction at C9. In this presentation, we will show you how we've incorporated these principles into our online classes. The three of us each teach online at different levels: Roxanne in ELL, Julie in Transitions, and Carol in HSE. Each of us takes a unique approach in the areas of class structure and schedule, instructional strategies, methods of engaging student participation, and follow-up. We will begin with Roxanne and her ELL class online.
Hello, my name is Roxanne Bauer. I am currently teaching 2 online classes. One class is comprised of level 3 and 4 students. The other class is a multi-level class, levels 1 through 4. Although classes are structured with a schedule of activities, flexibility occurs to allow teachable moments and digression for students' questions. Conversation is first. Students not only want this, but it allows for flex time for students' arrival in class. Secondly, we do test prep in breakout rooms with an aide's help. Thank goodness. We cover test skills and competencies early in the class while students are most alert. Students typically have busy days, so standing and stretching physical activity helps maintain alertness. Reading focuses on culturally relevant content using websites and slide presentations from a PowerPoint. It's important to take a break so students can take a mental break and have a snack or dinner. After the break, we focus on phonics, vocabulary, and dialogues or conversations. Burlington English actively engages students in reading, dialogues, and grammar. Life skills, test prep content, grammar, and games are included. To prepare students for transitions for the HSE, grammar is taught. We then review the lessons from the class, and the students look forward to my game at the end of class, which is a variation of Hangman. Instructional strategies are varied because students' learning styles differ. I always have a PowerPoint that includes the lessons, activities for the evening. Breakout rooms are used for test prep. The students are grouped homogeneously by the post-test they will take. Vocabulary, test-taking skills, and content are covered. Students enjoy the breakout rooms. We're active during this time using scavenger hunts, YouTube videos, interactive exercises, matching, fill in the blank, or short responses to questions, and of course, games. The initial conversations are focused on their activities from the past or future weekends. Different forms of verbs and vocabulary are usually taught or reviewed with online videos or PowerPoints. Musical ones are great. Heterogeneous groups interact well with each other in games, reading articles, and answering questions. Students like to coach and to tutor each other. I typically use YouTube videos and other PowerPoints throughout the lessons. Videos provide another teaching voice and allows the students to hear somebody other than the teacher go, wah, wah, wah. And I keep it simple and low tech because students function at various levels. And reading websites are used, such as EL Civics or Easy English News. All lessons are interactive. Students readily assist each other by coaching or tutoring. Reading includes both oral and choral reading and responses, as well as individual reading and responses. Students move during class to find different items for the lessons. Students enjoy Burlington English with its reading and dialogues and grammar. Life skills, test prep, content, grammar, and games are included in this program.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Good morning. My name is Julie Ramirez, and I teach a transitions class as well as 3 IELCE classes. Currently, 2 of my classes are being taught hybridly. So when COVID restrictions were reduced, I chose to teach a hybrid class. This allowed students who wanted to attend class in person to do so, and students who wanted to stay on Zoom could do so. At first, I only had 1 student who came in person, but slowly more came in. This was challenging, but I like a challenge, so I was up for it. So this is an example of my transition schedule. I decided to keep my schedule the same as it was prior to the COVID shutdown. I felt that the consistency would help. I don't teach math in transitions class. Our focus is on language and reading, but I do give math packets. So I give I give time for my students to work on math packets at the beginning of class. We also do a short conversation activity once a week and an employability skills lesson once a week. In transitions, we focus on helping students improve their language and reading level. So I devote most of the time to those subjects. We often play a game at the end of the night to review the skills that we've been working on or just to decompress. I prepare for class each week by planning lessons that are aligned to the table 11 and 12. I use the TABE blueprints to help me determine which lessons I will teach. I build on these lessons each week. I use materials that are aligned with these standards. So these are just a few of the examples of the materials that I use. And I really love the TABE Tutor book and the TABE Mastery book. Prior to the COVID lockdown, I created a Google Classroom for my students. During the lockdown, I decided to make Google Slides lessons from the materials I used when I was in person. This made online instruction much easier. My students enjoyed the slides. I upload them into my Google Classroom after I teach them. When I began teaching hybrid, I was able to convert the slides to PDF to give as handouts for my in-person students. So I'm a former special education teacher, and I understand the importance of differentiating instruction to meet the needs of all of my students. I make sure to use a variety of instructional strategies to meet the needs of everyone. I use interactive slides, I show videos, play games such as Kahoot, and I use worksheets. I was able to provide editable worksheets for my online students. To meet the needs of a multi-level classroom, I created my slides using content from each level. I integrate IXL into my slides as often as I can. This gives students the opportunity to have a better understanding of how to use the program. I've also created quizzes using Google Forms for many of the lessons that I created. I expect all of my students to actively participate in each lesson. Students must show me what they are working on. Students can upload answers into the chat on Zoom. They can upload things into the Google Classroom. They can share their screen with me to show me what they have done, or they can text me their responses. I was very lucky to have an aide in my class until very recently. Marla was amazing, and she was such a team player, having to change from the known to the unknown when we went into lockdown. When we decided to be a hybrid class, Marla stayed on Zoom while I was in person. She was able to work with the students in breakout rooms if needed, and then I would work with those in person. When I had an emergency, and I had to leave the state for a few months, Marla came in person and I was able to teach online. To keep my students engaged, I have multiple computers in the room. I make sure that students can see each other whether they are in person or on Zoom. I have external microphones set up so they can easily hear each other. I teach the online students how to share their screen, make annotations, and make sure they understand the basic functions of Zoom. Students are strongly encouraged to have their videos on at all times and to be listening. Students understand that they may be called on at any time to answer or read. After my lessons, I record my lessons using Loom. So I have a library of lessons and I post them in my Google Classroom that students can go back and review if needed.
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Carol Bible, and I'm currently teaching 2 HSE classes online with 12 to 18 students in each one. First semester, I also had a fast track class with 5 to 8 students. Since many of our HSE students now take the HiSET 1 or 2 subjects at a time, it is common to have students in class who only need 1 or 2 subjects. We want those students to focus on what they need. So I schedule classes in subject blocks. Students who only need math, writing, or science, for example, know what time to show up each day. The amount of time I spend on each subject is proportional to the level of struggle our students usually experience in those areas. My students attend class for what they need and get the balance of their 6 hours per week with some combination of essential ed, IXL, tutoring, or assigned bookwork. Some students choose to do that in the breakout room during the regular class hours, and some do it outside of class. Since I usually teach alone, it can be a challenge to meet everyone's needs, especially online when it is harder to see and monitor everyone's work the way I did in person. I need to keep the class together most of the time, so it is important that I employ UDL strategies. I alternate between higher and lower level reading material for reading, writing, science, and social studies lessons. Sometimes we read aloud, sometimes silently, but we always summarize and analyze reading passages aloud together so that lower level readers don't miss content. We all use the same writing prompts, but students have options to complete writing assignments at their own level of ability. Some will write 4 to 5 paragraph essays on their own, while others will write part of the essay, complete a template, or follow the 7-sentence model. Everyone practices typing and submitting written work in Google Classroom. This is one way that I can see everyone's work as they complete it, just as I did in my in-person class. Math is an area where leveling is necessary. So I do that a few ways. My favorite method is to begin a lesson on algebraic expressions, for example, using an M-level TABE resource. The material is new for some, but provides valuable review for others. Then I continue with the same concept at a higher level resource. At this point, the lower level students have a choice. They can tag along and try the skill at the more advanced level, or they can move to a breakout room and continue at the lower level in their own TABE book on Essential Ed, or maybe in an IXL link that I've posted in the Google Classroom. I always use an extra computer so I can monitor activity in breakout rooms. Another strategy is to split my teaching time between two groups. One group will review a lesson I have pre-recorded while I work with another group. Then we switch. I've used Loom to make videos, but I find it just as easy to record lessons in Zoom. Since I recorded class every day for almost 18 months, I have a substantial library of videos from previous classes that I can use in this way. I was especially excited to find that I could do what you see in this slide. Position my document camera over a small whiteboard, adjust the size of the window, and place it directly over the worksheet that I'm sharing. Every online HSE class is an opportunity for students to grow their digital literacy skills. Many students come to class barely able to navigate Zoom. They must learn to use the chat box, mute themselves, choose their view, move the video boxes around so they can see the shared documents, pin my video, use their annotations to mark answers, share their own screen, give and accept remote control, etc. They also gain experience with Google Docs, Sheets, Forms, and Slides, as well as other online collaborative tools. What you see in this slide are a couple of activities we did as a class. One to review a physical science unit using a shared Google Slide presentation. And the other one was a civics and government review using Padlet, and they really enjoyed that one. I explained to students that regardless of whether they go on to higher education or begin careers, chances are good that they will at some point in their future need to participate in training using a learning management system. While each LMS has its own layout and tools, they have similar components and functions. Becoming familiar with Google Classroom helps students prepare for their next educational steps. One day I used a reading lesson from Journey to Success that focused on 21st century careers and in-demand skills. The article talked about coding, so I thought it would be fun to give students a very basic introduction to coding. I found the perfect free activity at codeacademy.com. A few students were intrigued enough to visit the site on their own for more instruction and practice. One of the greatest challenges of online class is that students are tempted to think it will be a passive experience. Since COVID, our HSC student demographic has changed a little bit. We have many more teens who may not want to be in class. Some students suffer from anxiety and believe that online class is a way to get their education while being visible and avoiding interaction. Even though it is thoroughly explained in orientation that active participation is expected and required, it takes a lot of effort sometimes to keep students engaged. And here are some of the ways that I get my students to participate, share, and give me feedback. I also plan a day's work including variety, color, visual interest, and activity. My students often tell me they're surprised how fast our 3-hour class goes, and that's a real compliment, in my opinion.
So Carol, Roxanne, and I all make sure we provide follow-up activities for our classes. Roxanne provides a copy of her PowerPoint presentations to her students. Carol has a very organized Google Classroom in which she adds videos and materials as well as distance education resources. I create quizzes using Google Forms, record lessons, and upload slides into my Google Classroom. We encourage our students to use the tools we have available to them that were mentioned on the previous slides. We also encourage students to use the wonderful distance education applications our program has purchased. Our ELL classes have access to Burlington English, and our Transitions and HSE classes have IXL and Essential Education. We demonstrate how to use these programs and incorporate them into our lessons. With all of the tools that we have, plus the time we have spent working to learn and to understand online instruction, we feel like we have created a pathway to success for our students. Thank you very much.
There are a couple of questions for Essential 9. Sheila Butler wants to know how long are your students in your classes? And this is a question for all teachers. And then the other question she has is how often do you take in new students?
Is she talking about how long per class?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
she doesn't say. Sheila, is it per class or just all together? Per class.
Okay, yeah. Our online classes are still 3 hours. So we're online for 3 hours twice a week, just like the in-person students are. And how long are they with us? That varies anywhere from a few months to a couple of years in the case of HSE. Roxanne, Julie, you guys want to chime in?
Same with transitions. That's one of the things students will often ask, when they move into my transitions program, they always want to know, how long will I be here? So I just really tell them it's how much you put into it. If they only come to class, once or twice a week and they don't do anything in between, it's going to take them longer. So that's why I encourage them to use distance education and tell them that can help propel them forward a little quicker.
We've really worked to make our online classes and at least an equivalent experience to the in-person. We do all the same things that we do in person, and it offers a little more flexibility, but it's not all that different.
ESLs or ELL students again, like Julie and Carol said, it varies according to entry level, acquisition of language in native country, their educational experience there, if they had any English experience. So it varies. I had one student in my class 1 week, took a test, and then out of here. She went to the next level. Other students I've had like 2 or 3 years. So again, it varies.
Did we address both parts of that, Megan?
Yes. And then there's
Okay.
a couple of other ones here too. It says, I teach virtually too. This is from Karen Crawford. How do you organize all your content for reuse? I have been trying to use Google Sheet with a link so I can repeat content. What do you do?
Well, I have, like Julie said, my Google Classroom has different departments, so I store most of my material on Google Classroom, even year after year. And a lot of it is available in Google Drive. I've become an expert in searching my Google Drive to find the videos and things that I've used previously.
Yeah, I use Google Drive. I have a shared drive that I shared with the other transitions teacher, just put my lessons in there and have folders in that shared drive, so that I'm not the most organized person, so but I try. So I try to get it somewhat organized so it's easy to access everything. And then I have my Loom account, which is how you can record videos on your screen. And so that I have a library on Zoom as well that I could just easily pull from.
If anybody's curious about testing, I didn't know if that would come up or not. I didn't mention it in the presentation, but our online students are able to do their TABE tests, even their TABE Class E tests online as well. We have online test proctors. I have one that hangs out with me in class all the time now, and she just pulls students as needed when they're ready to test. And we have a designated person who tests the all of our ELL students, and she's able to do that online too.
Is that through a breakout room, Carol?
Yes, the lady that works with me, she joins my meeting with usually 3 or 4 different devices. So we set up different breakout rooms, and she tests students in breakout rooms. And she's also able to help monitor my students who are not testing but working in a breakout room, so that they don't just wander off and do other things during that time, because they've been known to do that.
There's also some other questions in the chat. Gretchen Easterday says, how much time are you spending preparing for each class?
Hi, Gretchen.
Hello.
It varies. For me, I can reuse a lot of things that I've saved, but it depends on how many new things I'm doing for each class and how much time I have to spend creating. But I'm able at this point to reuse a lot. So I don't know, a couple hours, 2-3 hours a week. Julie?
Yeah, when I was creating my slides, I don't even know how many hours I poured into it, because I literally took every single lesson from the TABE tutor book that I was using and created slides for everything. So I don't know. I grew much older and got a lot of gray hairs doing that. But it is nice because now I have them made and I can pull from them. I get bored if I teach. I kind of have a cycle of how I teach. And so when we come back around, I might add some different content to the slides so it doesn't take as long to plan those out.
ELL is maybe a little bit different the way I do it. It's students are at different levels and have different needs. And so when I teach, say, a Monday night class, they might come up with some new things. So I modify what I do on a Wednesday. So I would say probably 2 to 3 hours for a Monday, Wednesday class, you know. So it takes some time, but it's worth it because the students enjoy it.
Okay, thank you. There's also another question from Sheila. She says, how often do you orient in new students and how much do you work in new students?
Well, we have a couple of orientations per month through the bulk of the school year. So there's usually one in person and one online. We alternate between an AM orientation and a PM orientation. So we have new students coming in every couple of weeks. And what did she say? How do we work new students?
Yes. How do you work in new students?
Oh, well, I think Roxanne and Julie might be different, but my students, I warn them when they're coming in, especially if they come in later in the semester, you may be cannonballing into the deep end of the pool right now. Don't worry, I will cycle back through. And if they happen to come in, say, in the middle of some of the deepest math content that we do, I will use those breakout rooms and have them start where they need to start with essential ed, and kind of work through individually those last bits of the most complex math. And then I circle back, and then they can jump in and get things from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Oh,
go ahead, Roxanne.
Students are assimilated fairly quickly because the ELL students are so welcoming to others, because at this point in time, 95% are refugees. And so they are most welcoming, and it's very comfortable. They're very comfortable in from the beginning. So, it's good.
Yeah, I'm similar to how Carol is. I I teach kind of in a cycle. So I have had students come in really towards the end of that. Recently I had about 6 new students join my class, and I just happen to be teaching essay writing. And so these are students who just promoted out of ELL. And so their eyes were big, and, I thought they were going to leave that day and never come back. But I assured them that, we're going to be coming back around to the beginning. And then I just worked with them instead of having them write an essay, and work on writing a sentence. And then as I'm teaching, I try, when I get new students, I try to sort of review some of the previous lessons to catch them up as best as I can.
Okay, very good. There's another question here from Karen Crawford. Do you keep the content open continually on Google Classroom? I have some things that are drafts for my reference.
Yes, I just keep a running library of content. So one year I tried organizing content by subject area. The next year I decided to just put things in by date, but I left the stuff that was organized by content on there. So in Google Classroom, they can scroll down and they can search by content area and find individual lessons, or they can go back to a specific date. If they missed class on a specific date, they can go back and find those materials, and I just leave those in there.
Yeah, and when I upload my Google Slides into my classroom, I make a copy. There's a place on there where you can choose to make a copy for each student. And so I click that. So students always have copies of what I've put in the Google Classroom, as long as it's the slides. And most everything I do is in slides. So I do end up, I leave pretty much everything in my class. I'm sorry, lost my train of thought there.
I mentioned that I recorded everything for 18 months, and I was uploading videos from class every night. And that was great because I collected a lot of material that way, but I also found that my students were a little less motivated to get to class because they knew they could just go in and watch the video later. And I was also collecting a lot of video and taking up a lot of space on my computer. So I stopped doing that every day, but I still will record key things that I maybe haven't recorded before or I want to save.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I guess the question of the hour then would be, if another program contacts you, would you be willing to share what you have out on Google Drive so that they are not reinventing the wheel if they want to start using this kind of a hybrid situation or an online class?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great,
Okay.
thank you so much.
There's a couple other questions on here. Gretchen Easterday says, very impressive, ladies. Sheila Butler says, excellent practices to be a model for all of us. Excuse me. There is a question on here from Roxanne from Gretchen. What levels of ELL are in the same class?
Okay, one of my classes is they're level 3 and 4. The other class is comprised of levels 1 through 4. Although at this time, I'm very grateful that I have students who are not like at level 1. But what I do is I differentiate instruction and content. And so basically I do what Carol and Julie do. I have different levels of reading. And one of the things that I do is I do cover phonics and vocabulary. And this has been extremely helpful. And some of the, one of the highest compliments students have paid me is that they are able to communicate with their children's doctors and their dentists. And those are not measurable skills, but it's because what we do in class, not only reading, but so it's all across the board.
Try to say 5 different things at once.
I'd like to brag on Roxanne for just a minute. She, when we started this whole process, she was not the techie person, and she has learned so much. And I visited her class to take some video for this presentation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. She's come a long
Thank
way.
you, Carol. See, learning is lifelong.
Did I mention she's entertaining?
And sometimes that's what it takes to keep your students coming, is the entertainment level. Yeah, if it's dry and boring, we'll lose them quickly. So yeah, having that, you know, boisterous, entertaining kind of personality really does help keep them coming back, because they'll like watching TV for them.
One of the ways you can tell that students are learning is that one of my students came in very stoic and not very talkative. Today, he was cracking jokes. Teacher, you need some more coffee. That's a big joke around here. But I must depart, okay?
She's got to go teach something.
Yes. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, for joining us. We really appreciate you sharing this morning.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. There's one last question on here. I say one last, but maybe. Julie Moore says, do you do anything special to reach out to ELL students to get them into class, like promoting the program in particular places?
Well, I know that we have a Facebook page for C9 Adult Ed. I think a lot of our students, it's word of mouth. That's where we get a lot of students in. We are also fortunate to have classes in different locations. Like right now we have classes at Amazon. So I'm sure that's going to be getting a lot of people who will come in. But we do have some great career coaches and people who do try to promote, but I don't know of all the ways. Carol, do you know of other ways other than the social media?
Yeah, I know that our marketing plan has not been great in the past. I think Connectable and Neil and Amy are helping us with that too.
Okay. Karen Crawford says, at one point we were going to have a PDF portal so teachers could upload PowerPoint slides, lesson plans to share. Is this still up or available? I would love to have some of your slides to compare them with my topics.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know that Dan had continued that, but I will check into that and see if I can find out, and we can make that available. Not a problem.
Okay, and then Nan Wilson says, so many ideas for differentiating instruction, even in-person classes, as well as hybrid situations. And Karen Crawford also says, for those who haven't kept the virtual element in your program, I am finding that all of my students are sitting in the front row of class, LOL. So that is all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. That was great.
Thank you. Any last thoughts, Carol or Julie?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, and if anyone, so Karen, I think that was you who said you'd love to see some slides. If you want to send me an email, I'd be happy to share.
Julie has great slides. She's got her little cartoon character. Roxanne and Julie have done more in the slide creation, PowerPoint creation arena than I have. I've made a few slide presentations, but I try to keep it very much like it is in class. So I share content, I share pages out of the books that a lot of our students have. because we've given them to them. And I have a graphic pen and tablet that I can make notes on the page. I can fill in the lines and things. So that's how I teach more than using PowerPoints or slides.
When you're in lockdown and you're very bored and you can't sleep, you stay up until 3 in the morning looking at YouTube videos, learning how to create Bitmoji classrooms. And so, yeah.
Thank you very much, Carol, Julie, and Roxanne, for sharing all of your best practices for online instruction. I'm sure you will be getting some emails from other programs wanting to apply some of your instructional strategies. So thank you very much, ladies, for sharing. If anyone has any questions, please,
Sorry, there is a last comment from Sheila. Carol, I would love to see your organization of your Google Classroom. Can I use your Google Classroom? I use Google Classroom too.
Sure.
Okay.
Happy to meet with you.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. We appreciate all of your great information. And now we shall move on to the professional development plan. It went out recently and has a due date of June 17th. I would like to spend a few minutes this morning talking about how to address some critical control points when you're working on your PD plan, as well as throughout the year as you are developing your program and working on your quarterly and final reflections reports. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes this morning then talking about our PD plan that just went out. If anyone did not receive it, if you could just let me know by email or at the end of the meeting, I'll be happy to resend that. So some critical control points to think about while you're working on your PD plan and throughout the program year. If a student signs up for orientation but doesn't show, what is that we need to do to reach out to that student to find out what prevented them from coming and help ensure that they come. For students that maybe attend orientation or part of an orientation and then never make it to class, reaching out to those students to find out, was it something during orientation or they've decided not to participate, attending class, but maybe not reaching a point where they can take a post-test so that you can tell that they've made any progress, or students that possibly have stayed in the class and had multiple post-tests but never made progress, to ensure that those, those instructional strategies like what Carol and her team just went through are being applied and differentiated for those students. Then also maybe reaching out to those students that have passed maybe all but one part of the HSE or are nearing the point of taking the HSE and have some reservations about taking a large test like that. So making sure that they show up on test dates, they're prepared when they come for test dates, and then also for IETs and WEIs, making sure that they not only complete the class, but are prepared to receive their certification on whatever skill that is that they're working on. Goal number 1, meet or exceed 68% on table 4, column J, a percentage achieving a measurable skills gain. So I took a copy of the table 4. This is the statewide from a few days ago. Just as a reference point, when you're working toward that 68%, we have two pieces of that puzzle that we try to put together, the ABE and the ELL. Those are highlighted in orange, and then our combine is what is highlighted at the bottom in yellow. So those are the numbers that we will need to be kind of watching and keeping track of as you're progressing through the program year. So working on those critical control points toward that goal is the percentage that left the program prior to a post-test. What is it that did not keep the student coming to class? Percentage of students that took more than one post-test without a measurable skills gain, making sure that we have differentiated instruction, becoming aware of any IETs or accommodations that students may need in order to be successful, and 3 percentage that did not complete an IET or WEI. What is it that prevented them from finishing that that training? Was it too difficult and we need to do some differentiated instruction, or were they offered a position prior to finishing that? Sometimes they get so anxious about accepting a position that they kind of cut their training short, and then they need that training still later on in order to be successful in that job. Goal number 2. Meet or exceed state assigned enrollment goal as evidenced by table 4, column B, number of participants. So Laura Pastore is going through each regional meeting and presenting the information on your program's enrollment goal for next year. If you haven't met with her yet with that information, that will be coming up soon as she as the regional meetings come around, then she will be presenting that to anyone that has not received that yet. So as you are working toward those enrollment goals, again, the table 4, column B, same situation. ABE and ELL are highlighted in orange to have a combined total of what's in yellow. So making sure that those enrollment goals are being worked on the same point as the percentages. It's that quality versus just getting numbers into the program. So those control points related to enrollment. The percentage signed up for an orientation but did not attend. What prevented those students from actually attending orientation? Is it transportation issues? Is it childcare issues? Do they wake up one morning and feel motivated and the next day they wake up and they want to play video games? What is it that doesn't actually produce that follow through? And number 2, percentage that did not complete orientation. For those who show up the first day of a maybe 2-day orientation or part of an orientation, if it's a 1-day, and they decide that it's not for them, meeting or talking with that student to find out what it is that is creating a barrier for them, so that we can find a workaround to get those students actually through the orientation process and starting actually attending classes. Number 3, percentage that attended 0 or 1 class. Some programs have a full kind of 2-day or a full 1-day orientation, and sometimes we see students go all the way through the orientation only to never show up for class. And so they've gone through the pretest and have their results, and yet they don't want to produce any follow through. So reaching out to those students to make sure that they are feeling like they're not wasting their time by doing the assessment, and that the class time will actually help them move forward toward their goal. Goal number 3, meet or exceed 45% of all students participating in distance learning. That's on the NRS report total distance learning, column D, the percentage of distance participants. What we've noticed is an increase of a measurable skills gain from students that perform or participate in distance learning over students that do not participate in distance learning. And there's a variety of ways students can participate in distance learning. It doesn't have to be through an IXL or a Burlington English. If they don't have internet access, there are other ways to do distance learning so that they can be constantly engaged and working toward their goal. So the total distance learning report, again, that is an NRS table, ABE and ELL, both indicated in orange, and yellow for the total. So critical control points related to that. The percentage of students making an MSG while engaged in distance learning versus the percentage of students making an MSG while not engaged in distance learning. And so you can kind of see that point where those students that are engaging in distance learning will make progress quicker, will be able to get a measurable skills gain for you sooner, and they will be able to reach their goal at a quicker pace. Goal number 4, increase HSEs on table 4, column F by 5% over program year 21. So again, table 4, ABE in orange, ELL in orange, and the total in yellow. That's column F. Some students, particularly in maybe a transitions class or in an ELL that's an advanced class where they've recently, we've seen with the refugees, they've come to this country and they need an HSE because their degree or lack of degree from their home country doesn't work in this country. And so they need to kind of start again. And so they're needing an HSE. And so reaching those students that are wanting to get that HSE and move on to their next goal. So some strategies in order to increase those HSEs. Offer the HiSET practice test to students with an NRS level 4, 5, and 6 that will help to determine those students' readiness to possibly take one or multiple parts of the HiSET. Identify current students with NRS levels 4, 5, and 6 to place them in a fast track or a boot camp so that they can get through the process a little quicker and move on to their next goal, possibly even into an IET or a WEI situation. Develop and implement an effective fast track HSE boot camp. In doing that, you can target marketing within the community to reach students who want to gain their HSE diploma through a fast track boot camp. I think it was Julie that said something earlier about students always ask how long it will take when they join her program and her classes. And again, that fast track boot camp for students who are strong in multiple skill levels, they are able to work a little faster and go through the material a little quicker and reach that goal a little faster. And so offering an opportunity, a class that will provide that opportunity will help students as well. Targeting marketing for all testers that have partially passed the HiSET and need to complete. So if there are students that have come from outside our classes that want to take the test and do not pass all parts, that's a perfect opportunity to reach out to those students to offer to get them into the program, work on those 1 or 2 content areas that they did not pass, and then have them go back in and take those 1 or 2 pieces of the puzzle that they need to put together. And 3, identify strategies used by teachers with high percentage of HSE graduates to be implemented throughout your program. Some teachers have figured out the HiSET and how to best adjust their instructional strategies to make it so that students can get through the program as quickly as possible. And so having those teachers work with the other teachers that still are struggling to figure out how to get their students to the HiSET and prepared, reaching out to those teachers and having some local PD and asking for PD help. I'm willing to always set up any opportunities for assistance with that. Megan as well, since she's our HiSET person, to get those teachers better prepared so they can help their students move forward with their HSEs. Goal 5. Programs will increase or maintain IET completions to 90% or more and certifications to 85% or more as evidenced by the local IET monthly data report. Again, that is in the local section rather than the NRS report section. Program will increase IET enrollments by 10% for this upcoming program year of 2022 over the current one we're in, 2021. So this is a snapshot of what the summary would look like under the session name and the program name. Your individual sessions and program will show up. I highlighted in orange the completions and in yellow the certification. So you will be able to go into that report anytime during the program year and see where your standing is for your students. It's also a good place where you can track how many students you're actually showing as enrolled. Sometimes those hours for an IET or a WEI student have some lag time getting those hours entered into enters. And so this can be sort of a red flag. If you notice that the hours of enrollment are not changing, you can reach out to those IET and WEI instructors, making sure that those hours are being put into enters so that those that data is current and updated, as well as how many students are still enrolled, whether they be a cohort that's just coming through or a student that maybe needs some remediation. So some strategies for success on IETs. Develop and implement effective and in-demand for your program area IET curriculum. Every area is different. Every region has their own demands and needs. And so those IETs need to address what is appropriate in your region or your county or your kind of particular area within the county. Market the career pathway options available at each site. Remember that those career coaches should be coming in and meeting with students on a regular basis, as well as the teachers talking about career opportunities within the classrooms. Discuss pathway options regularly with students so that if they are completing their HSE in a relatively soon time frame, that they do have options to go on to possibly an IET, or if they accept a position, they may have a WEI opportunity as well. Present IET options to guidance counselors to recruit high school seniors that are not college bound. Reaching out to those guidance counselors at various points during the year, just to remind them that you have an option for those students that do not plan to attend college, and sort of get the ball rolling for those students, get them thinking about their kind of post high school years. Also for students that are not completing in a high school manner. It's a good way to find a list of those students that at different points of the year are deciding not to finish through traditional high school. And partner with adult education programs that have established IETs. So reach out to your fellow programs. Roy can put you in touch with programs that already have an established IET in whatever particular area you're looking to have an IET, so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel every time you want to start an IET. There's probably one already established that you can use as at least a guide to help get you started with your own IETs. And goal number 6. Increase number of WEI partnerships by 2 over program year 2021. So some strategies for success on that. Develop a list of potential partners. Invite business partners to individual program information sessions. Meeting with your local boards to present on what opportunities you can have available to people in your community. Contact partners to obtain educational needs. So if you have a partnership with a particular company and they are needing to skill up some employees, reaching out to them on a regular basis so that they know that you can assist with that through a WEI. And 4, create programs to fit those partner needs. So there's a lot of opportunities out there that we can look for in different ways. So through different kinds of businesses, factories, other types of businesses, there are other ways that we can find partners that have needs that we as an adult education provider can help with. So as you're going through your plan, those critical control points are needing to be addressed when you are talking about the responsibilities, the timeline, resources needed, potential barriers. How will the plan be communicated? That's both within your program and within your community. And then the evidence of success and evaluation, those NRS or local tables can help you know where your current standing is and where your, as opposed to where your goal is. So you know from month to month or week to week, each time you check what your stance is and how you need to work to get to that goal. So responsibilities would include, you know, who is performing those duties? Who's the person reaching out to community partners? Timeline, do you have, you know, a cohort that you're planning to set up with an IET? What is that timeline in order to get that IET not only pulled together, but started and going through the process? Resources needed. What do you need to do? Those IETs and WEIs. Potential barriers, things that will interfere with student goals, your goals, partner goals, anything that might need to be addressed, and how you hope to address those. And then we talked about how the plan will be communicated both within the program and outside the program, and then the evidence of success against those NRS reports and the local reports. So that's just kind of a quick summary since we're having a long meeting today. So if anyone has any questions or comments, you're welcome to email me if it's an IET question or a WEI question. Roy is probably your best person to ask. If it's an HSE question, Megan might be your best person to ask. But we work as a team, so it's one of those we'll come together to get an answer for you if you have a question. And Megan, do we have any questions that have come up in the chat?
You do. Rob Moore says, for Roy, some of us might want to work this summer on getting IETs and WEIs approved for 2022, 2023. Are the forms and templates going to be the same as they are currently?
Yes, the ones that I sent out, I'll be sending them out this June, but the ones that are on the website are already updated. I made a small change to one of them earlier this program year, and it's already been updated on the website. I will have some more guidance on the newer measurable skill gains, however, but the forms for the application will be the same. The template will be the same. So if you go to the website and get off of there, those will be the updated ones, but I will be sending that out in June.
And then Amy Wood says, will we get the slide deck and when will the recording be available?
I hope to have the recording available on the website on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And I hope to have the slide deck out later this afternoon.
That's all that was in the chat so far.
Okay, great. If anyone has any questions as they're working on their PD plan, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can so that you can get through the plan and start working on those goals. And to kind of, before we wrap up, I have just one other area that I want to bring up kind of as an open discussion. Over the last few months, I've heard some requests to possibly move the PDF meeting to a different day and or time. I just want to spend a few minutes discussing that and allowing people to kind of hash through any ideas that they might have. If they have a preferable day, I know some programs do their PD on Friday, at which this would count, but then they also want to do some local PD, and this might fall right in the middle of that local PD. Some teachers are teaching on Fridays also, and so there's always going to be some challenges. But if there is a better time and day, I'm very open to that. So if anybody has any thing they want to bring up about it, or questions or suggestions, now's your opportunity to speak.
Amy, go ahead.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say I really like having it on Fridays because since we are closed on Fridays, it is a quieter time for myself to actually attend this. So I support the reasons why people might want to change it, but I just wanted to say my support of why to keep it on Fridays.
Okay, and that's a possibility too. Nothing says we have to choose a different day or time. This is what seemed to have been working, but I just had a few requests. So I wanted to let people know that their requests are being heard. So, if we don't have a better time day option, I'll plan to keep it on Fridays at 10. I think I have it on the 4th Friday of each month. So if there's another Friday, maybe it's not the day so much as the time of month, that's fine too. We can move it earlier in the month or middle of the month, whatever works for those needing to attend is fine with me.
Lisa, go ahead. I see your hand up.
I agree with Amy. Fridays are about the only day that I'm absolutely positive that I can attend. The other days of the week are crammed full because we are in session, and I would hate to see it move during the week because my participation would certainly be questionable.
Okay.
Jennifer, sorry if I mispronounced your last name here. Says I like the current time and day. It is the only day that I would not be teaching. Cynthia Johnson says Friday works well most of the time. Julie says I like Fridays as well. Sheila Butler says I will be able to do most any morning now, and Friday is generally my day off, but I will always be. Friday's generally my day off, but I have always wanted Fridays in the past, so still good with this. Cynthia Johnson says I can't do third Fridays. Second Fridays are IAACE meetings. Marilyn says I'm good with Fridays. Kim says I could adjust into a different day, or we can just stay the same. I'm happy to do what's best with the majority. Polly Redmond says maybe not the 4th Friday as got the holidays many months. Gloria says I prefer Fridays. Polly Redmond says overlaps, or she adds to that it overlaps with the holidays. So
Okay, those are all good points. I will see what I can do. Maybe we'll keep it on Friday at 10. Just try to find a different Friday of the month. Maybe the 1st or the 2nd Friday might be better for the programs, it sounds like. So we will do some discussing of that and try to get that figured out as we roll into the next program year. Before I turn it over to Jerry to wrap us up for the morning, is there anything else anybody would like to bring up to discuss? Any suggestions they have? Now's your chance. Anything in the chat, Megan?
Are we meeting in June, Amy?
I do plan to have a June date. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's on my last slide. So I am planning on a June date, unless something unforeseeable comes up. And I'll be able to give you the exact date here as soon as Jerry wraps us up.
sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I was trying to talk. Sheila Butler did add that the 2nd Friday is the IAACE meetings. Many on here are on the board, and then Adrian Carroll says Neo can't never do the 1st Friday.
Okay, all right. Those are all good food for thought. So we'll kind of see if we can work something out. And if not, we'll have to stay on this Friday. So, but thank you, everyone. I want to make sure that you know your voices are heard. Any last questions or comments before I turn it over to Jerry? Okay. All right. So Jerry, I will turn the spotlight over to you to wrap up our meeting.
Well, thank you very much. I do realize that you've had a very long morning, but a very good morning. Several of our staff here at the state office has said how wonderful the presentations have been this morning. So we thank you very, very much. It's so good to hear from the field and to hear about the good work that you do. So thank you very, very much. I do realize I'm the only thing standing between you and lunch, so I will be very, very brief. I do want to encourage you to continue to finish this program year strong. I know our friends at IAACE, and we have been working behind the scenes to provide information and data to help you justify some increases to the adult education state funding. As I have shared on many, many occasions, as you know, because of the pandemic in part, we lost $1 million in your state funding, and certainly I know our friends at IAACE want to get those dollars back, plus maybe some more added to our state allocation. And next year, which is the budget writing year, the 2-year budget cycle starts, and our legislators will be in session to write that new 2-year budget. But here's some statistics to help you finish the year strong. And we will finish this year strong because of your hard, dedicated work. Currently, as of the time that this meeting started, we have in Indiana 18,585 adult education students. A year ago, when we finished up program year 2020, we had 17,541. My math is not very good, but that is just under a 2,000 increase, 2,000 student increase, actually 1,878 student increase from last year, about a 6% increase in our overall state enrollment, and it is still growing because, as all of you know, our year will end on June 30th, so we have just a few more weeks. It's hard to believe we're almost approaching the end of program year 2021, and we will be starting all over again, a new ball game, if you will, on July 1. But what I want you to, and I've shared this in many of our regional meetings with our directors and other folks with adult education, what has fueled that enrollment increase is largely our ELL. Our ELL has returned to the classroom, have returned to your classes. Actually, with our ELL population, it has grown 51% over what we finished last year with. To give you an idea, we have about 5,500 ELL students this year compared to just over 3,000 a year ago. So we have really brought back our ELL students, and that is where we're showing a lot of growth. In ABE, we have held steady. We actually have a 6.4% increase in the number of ABE students. But as I said, the 51% in ELL students is just tremendous. And our measurable skill gains as a state continues to go up minute by minute, day by day. We are currently at 62.22%. That is just fabulous. We hope we can get to 70% as we did a year ago, but if we don't, that's okay. We've seen our numbers come back, our enrollment grow back, and that was one of the reasons that Laura is sharing in the regional meetings and with the administrators some very modest enrollment growth, if you will, and enrollment goals to ensure that we continue to build upon what we lost during the pandemic. So thank you to that. I do want to share one other thing with you. I listened very intently during the presentations, and I know during the Central 9 presentation, and you every day are probably asked this when new students, new learners come into your program. especially if they come to earn their high school equivalency. How long is it going to take me? How long can I expect? How many days, how many weeks will it take? Many of our programs have instituted boot camps across the state of Indiana to help students move more quickly. And we've had a hard time just giving that answer because it's been others out there have asked the question, well, typically in Indiana, how long does it take to get a high school equivalency? We can answer that question now. Of course, every student, every individual is different. The timetable is based solely on that individual. But to help you in answering that question, we actually have a new report. And again, I have shared this in some of our regional meetings, but we have a new report in Enters that I encourage all the PDFs to take a look at. I will try to go very slow in describing where this is at. Go into reports, go to the tab or the tile that says local, scroll down, and you will see a heading called HSE Speed to Completion. HSE Speed to Completion. So reports, local, HSE Speed to Completion, and you can pull up by program, by the state, what the average number of weeks it takes your students to, by level, to earn an HSE. And I have pulled up a number of reports. I've seen some as low as 9 weeks on average. But for the state of Indiana, on average, it takes those learners who are working toward an HSE 17.83 weeks to earn their HSC, just over 4 months. Obviously, taking into the consideration students who work more quickly, students who take a little bit longer. But that is an interesting report to just pull up and for your own information. If you've ever wondered, how long does it take in my program? How long does it take in the state of Indiana on average to earn an HSC? So please take a look at that report. That was live just a few weeks ago, but continue to do the good work that you're doing. I am so very proud, and I can speak for our entire team of what you've achieved in Indiana and what, more importantly, you have achieved during some very difficult times and what you have achieved for your students during these difficult times. So thank you. Have a wonderful summer, and we will see you in June.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jerry, for joining us and giving us the latest on that new report and the information for the upcoming year. Thank you again, everyone. The next professional development facilitator meeting is scheduled for June 24th. And we will wrap it up for today unless there are any last minute questions. Megan, is there anything that's popped up in the chat?
There's no questions, but Polly Rudman does say maybe take a poll with the field. And then Kim says that's a wonderful report. Thank you for the data. And I just saw someone's hand up. Lisa, did you have a question or did you just accidentally hit the hand button?
No, I was just going to mention that's our IAACE end of the year changeover. So it will involve quite a few people on this line right now.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a pleasant Memorial Day weekend. Safe travels to any of those that might be traveling over the weekend. And we will see you on the next meeting.